Welcome to Noobshido Games podcast. I'm Steven, and joining me today is Albert. We're going to talk about Kamen Rider Revice, episode 1. Albert, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Steven. I hope you're doing okay as well.
I am good. Today's Boxing Day, December 26, 2021. Hope you had a good Christmas there, Albert.
Nope, Christmas was great. Can't complain about anything. Got some gifts and got to spend time with family. So yeah, doing pretty good on my end.
Right on. Me too. Yeah, it's just spent time with family. That's about it. And the weather is super cold. It's like minus 27 with the wind chills probably minus 30 or more. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
best to stay home.
nope, very, very cold in Canada this year. Around this time of year, it's usually very, very cold.
Yes, especially in Edmonton here. So all right, so let's get on with episode 1 of Kamen Rider Revice. The original air day was on September 5th, 2021. And I know both you and I, Albert, we didn't really start watching it when it was first aired. And I believe they're probably on episode either 14 or 15 now. Um, is that right, Albert, for you?
That is correct. I believe I started watching a couple weeks ago. And yeah, I do believe it's on episode 15 right now.
That's right. But that's okay. We'll take our time to watch it, It's no rush really. And tell you the truth, I didn't finish watching Saber yet either. Still working on finishing that.
That's fair. Yeah, I haven't really been keeping up with anything on the tokusatsu side, even though there is the Sentai series right now. So I'm excited to review Revice here.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's just we just like to, talk about it. What's better than talk about it with friends after watching the show? So let's see what let's give an overview of what the first episode about there. All right. So episode 1 pretty much it talked about a mysterious stamp, they call it a V stamp, and a mummy were discovered in a ruin in Central and South America 50 years ago. The V stamp allows the person to make a contract with the devil, apparently. Deadman's, a demon worshipping cult led by Argulera and her two sidekicks. I might have butchered the name here. Altica and Julio are
I
trying
think
to. I think that's how you say it, or
I think it's Ortega and Julio.
Ortega. Okay, Ortega and Julio, and trying to revive their master. Would you call it? Pronounce it GIF or GIF?
I'll go with what you say. I think whatever I say
Yeah,
is going to start a fight on the internet.
yeah. Well, I'm just gonna call it Master GIF.
Yeah.
So Master GIF is the mummy from the ruin and the husband of Aguilera. A researcher named George Karasaki developed the Revive system of Phoenix, which is a government agency tasked to protect the peace from the dead man's. While Iki, the main character, and his family are attending Daiji's graduation ceremony to become a captain of Phoenix. Daiji is Iki's younger brother. The dead men's appear and interrupt the graduation ceremony. That's pretty much the quick overview of what the episode is about. And do you have anything to add there, Albert?
Uh, no, I don't think I have anything. Although I do believe that Aguilera is the fiance, not
Oh,
wife.
you're right. Yeah, the fiance. Yeah, not
Fiance,
not
yeah,
the wife. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean because this is the first episode, so a lot of characters were pretty much introduced, and we can probably quickly just go over the character that we see in the first episode. You want to start off with some of the characters there, Albert?
Let's start with Iki. So Iki is Kamen Rider Revice. He's the main character, and he holds the Rex V stamp. He's the eldest son of this family, of the Igarashi family, and he also helps run his family business, which is a public bath or a sento. Um, it Some important details I guess they've released in the episode was that he was a really good soccer player, potentially a star, and was probably able to go pro. But something seems to have maybe held him back, and so now he just works at the family cento and is really committed to that job. Throughout the whole episode, he seems to have a very happy-go-lucky attitude when it comes to working at the Cento and his family, but does have a very serious side when it comes to the safety of everyone around him. Um, in the episode, we also meet Vice, which is the demon that's inside of Iki. Um, so Vice originally starts off as a voice in the episode, and he acts kind of like a typical demon in most Eastern depictions, where they're generally mischievous, potentially evil, just wants to have fun and do whatever he wants, and doesn't have any real regard for others. But as you kind of go through the episode, Vice doesn't really change, but it shows you what the relation between Vice and Iki is like before they transform.
That's right. And just to give a little perspective of their the age, I found this info from the official website. It's interesting they actually go into like really more detailed info about each character, which in the show they probably don't really mention. Our main character Iki, supposed to be age 22, and Vice, the inner demon, apparently is older than him. Is
Which is
age
weird.
31.
Yeah,
Yeah, you would think it's the same age if it's his inner demon, right?
yeah.
But according to the official site, he's like, yeah, almost 10 years, 9 years older than the main character. So it's interesting.
Sounds like they have more story to go with Vice instead of just being a demon that was connected to him. It sounds like they're setting up for something.
Very true. Yeah, maybe there's more to it that we don't know at this point. I mean, this is only the first episode, so. And aside from the kind of our Carmen Rider character, there's these other characters. I will start with think Daiju Igarashi. That's the younger brother of Iki. He's also the soldier of Phoenix, promoted to be captain, originally chosen to be the Kamen Rider. He is age 17. Just a couple years younger than Iki. Then we have his, um, well, Iki's younger sister, which is still older than um, his brother there. The sister is Sakura Igarashi. She's 18 years old. She practiced karate. Then we have the mother, Yukimi. I think that's how you say her name. She's 42. She runs the family bath house business. Seems very supportive of the father. Odd pursuit to be a social media influencer. And then we have the dad is Genta. Is that how you say his name?
I think it's
Genta or
Genta, yeah.
Genta? Genta.
I think it's
He
probably Genta, probably.
Genta. Yeah, he's age 50. He is a eccentric character who seems to love doing odd videos and posting them on social media. Then we also on the Phoenix side, we have Yujiro Wakabayashi. She is the commander of Phoenix. He's age 36. And we have the weird scientist George Karasaki, age 22. He is the rider system creator, or his father was, and then he completed it. Um, and he comes off as a arrogant or like a mad scientist.
Yeah, that character's. I think they're trying to make him seem very eccentric and really out. going, I guess. It's a really odd character. It's like he seems like he's kind of like knows it all, but I don't think the mad scientist part for me comes off that way. It doesn't seem like he's mad. It just seems like he's very kind of like confident and just seems to know what to do all the time kind of scientist.
Right.
Yeah.
He comes off to me as just your like what you see typically in like an anime or stuff where the scientists is usually have these odd behaviors or like just act really weird, but they're like super smart.
So do you want to start off with just talking about each of the side characters just a little bit?
For the Deadmans,
Or yeah, we can go
I'll
Deadman's too.
just yeah, maybe we'll just finish off the
Yeah.
Deadmans. Go ahead,
So yeah, so
Albert.
yeah, yeah. So the first person that first dead man's technically that appears is Master Gif. He's the main villain. There's not really much about the villain here. It's just that they were discovered in that exhibit, expedition, the dig, and with the vice stamps or the V stamps. And then you also meet Aguilera, Ortega, and Julio. Um, Aguilera is 25, Ortega is 22, Julio's 22 as well. All three are the generals of the Dead Man, and Aguilera, again, we mentioned, was the fiance of Master Gift. There's not really much to say about the villains, other than like they seem to be some part of cult trying to revive Master Gift, and they have some sort of weird Mexican Spanish theme to them as well. It does look like in the episode, Ortega and Julio also have alternate forms where they turn into monsters. It's really brief in the episode, but yeah, they turn into monsters and then turn back into their humanoid form. While Ortega and Julio, I don't know which one is who in the episode. It was kind of hard to tell at first. May have to go back at it.
Julio, I think Julio's the one that wear the hat. I don't think Ortega wear a hat.
Oh, okay. Because
But
if that's Julio, he's a little odd. He kind of acts like he's the weirdo of the group. He licks his lips a lot. Or yeah. He kind of is like he has this like he has this habit of like extending his arms and then kind of licking around his lips a little bit, and they like to scream out who they are. They
oh,
like to
I
scream
don't
out.
remember that, but I'll
Yeah,
definitely when I watch episode 2, I'll pay attention to that.
yeah. But yeah, those are
Interesting.
the dead mans that they showed, other than the monsters and the grunt soldiers that they've showed off.
Right. So those are the characters. Now, what would you like to talk about now? What's your impression of the actual episode, or
Yeah, let's go into the impressions of the episode. I'll let you start first.
okay? So of course, like this first episode, um, there's probably it actually have generate a lot of questions. Where who why certain thing happened or who is who. Uh, but overall, I do enjoy watching it. It did make me want to watch the second episode. I like I like the setting. I actually like the bathhouse settings that the family is in, and I like there's like a little kind of like a family um dynamic there, and also I like the Kamen Rider's design. I don't mind it, even though I know some people probably not into the pink color or the design, but I actually quite enjoyed the design of the main rider and the Vice is the demons rider. As for the bad guys design, I don't think I've ever really enjoyed any of the bad guy design of any of the Kamen Rider series. I always find them a little bit weird, but this one is not like too weird yet. Like it looks okay. Um, it's serviceable, I guess. I like the opening was is pretty nice. The show it kind of gave me a little bit of the Marvel intro vibe. I don't know if you agree there, Albert. It kind of show like clips of like the past Rider series.
I
You know,
kind
like
of remember the intro a little bit. To me, the opening didn't really stick to me like right away. Like you know how generally if you're watching a lot of anime, the intro is like the first thing you hear, and it either like really hits you hard, or it's one of those ones where it was a little forgettable. Um,
right.
that I think maybe as it goes on, it might catch on a little bit more, but we'll have to see as we kind of go on.
Yeah, like definitely look at it next time. See if it reminds you a bit of like the Marvel movies, the MCU intro. I mean, it's not as cool as the MCU one, but I mean, it kind of remind me a little bit of it. So
As for my impressions of the episode, I really did like the episode, and it keeps me wanting to kind of continue on and see what the reasoning is behind the dead man's motivations. I really do like Iki as a character. He's your stereotypical like main character right now. Of course, it's just your first episode. He's very happy-go-lucky. He likes to smile and keep his family happy. And then he meets like the demon inside of him, and he's just kind of confused and not sure about what to do with that. But he's just at the moment choosing to ignore it. Um, Vice, we'll have to see how Vice kind of turns out. I'm not sure about Vice. Vice seems like a character that he breaks the fourth wall quite a bit, and it seems like they want him to be the kind of the connection to the world in a way, so he can he's kind of like that over the top character that you get with kids shows where he talks to the kids and tries to make it more exciting and get them into the action when it happens. um as for the other characters, uh Daiju's interesting just because like he is the younger brother, but he seems much more accomplished. But it also kind of gives the impression off that like maybe Iki is the more talented of the two. And even though Daiju was being promoted as captain at a very young age of 17, like holy crud, 17 as a military, some sort of military force captain. Not much to say about the sister since she's only like had a couple lines, and all you really kind of know about her is she does karate. Um, it seems like the mother is more of like the glue of the family, while the father is very much more aloof and is more free spirited about everything.
yeah, no, I agree. Like like if I don't want to talk like go back to the beginning, like uh at the very first scene. Not sure about like why Iki's inner demon only came out like kind of just in time of the his younger brother's graduation. You know, like you would think if he would be able to see his inner demon maybe even earlier. It just seems kind of it just fits right in. You know that just in time for him to get his chance to turn into a Kamen Rider. So I thought that was kind of a little bit weird that was the only that was like the first time that Iki's get like see his inner demon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, it's just
It
it was
seems kind
very
of rush.
convenient. It
Yeah,
was very convenient and is very rushed. Like
yeah, like
there was no time to really like establish what Vice is to Iki. It
hmm.
just seems like all of a sudden Vice was there, and
Yeah,
all of a sudden Iki can hear Vice.
yeah. I think it probably would have been better if like if Iki was already able to see his inner demon Vice, like you don't have to say when he get to start to see him, but at least like the connection between those two were there before the first episode. You know what I mean? Then just kind of like a jump on point that all of a sudden he can see his inner demon.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. Another thing I really kind of liked, and I think it's not bad for tokusatsu. I've definitely had seen better, but I've definitely seen much worse. The action sequences in here are actually pretty good. Um, I'm not a big fan of the CGI they use. I think the CGI is very poor overall. I don't know how you feel about it, Steven, but I just wasn't impressed by the CGI. It just seems very like lackluster. Even though I get it, CGI is kind of expensive, but I mean, they could do much better. But the action in it is pretty good with a lot of the special moves. I think they're very spirited, if not necessarily always original. It's a little bit of an odd choice though to go with the dinosaur, and I hope they kind of explain a little bit more about the significance of the stamps and the animals that are on it. But yeah, you see Iki get Tyrannosaurus legs at the end, close to the end, where the fight sequences, and it's odd, but I think it's an interesting choice, and yeah, I will have to see how that goes.
No, I agree. Like I didn't really like the T-Rex legs that the rider gets. It looks kind of, it just doesn't fit. It looks kind of weird. In terms the CGI was all right. I think is acceptable. Like if you ever get a chance to watch Saber, the previous Rider series, the beginning of Saber uses a lot of like bad like CGI, like even the whole like s- riders and the background fight scenes were in like CGI. I didn't really like that. It looks really cheap. But this one is serviceable, I think. I but in
Yeah,
terms of the
I
the
think I'm just
T-Rex leg was weird.
yeah. No, I think I'm coming more from the side of like I watch a lot of like Super Sentai and a lot of Power Rangers, and I think I'm coming more from the side of like I think Power Rangers and Super Sentai they use a lot of like CGI, but with a lot of practical as well. Like when they get the Megazords or the Robos, they
Hmm.
usually have a good mix. Like there's a guy in the suit to be the Robo, but in the more elaborate sequences they use the CG, so they cut it. But I think the way they cut it in Sentai is really good because like they don't break you out of the action. And
Right.
then when it comes to like the action sequences, when the robot, when the person in the suit can do the stunts, they will. But then if it's more elaborate, they'll try to get the CG in, but they'll try not to overdo it. And I do think like I don't know how bad Saber is. I'll probably have to look it up and see how how bad Saber is when you talk about it. But I do feel like just from my experience, the CG it's breaking almost like it drags you out of the show a little bit too much, especially since
Yeah.
he's running around as a dinosaur and it's just you can
No. Yeah. For
obviously
sure.
tell it doesn't look as good as the suit does, which by the way the suit in my opinion it's really nice. I do like that suit. The color scheme, yeah, it's a little bit polarizing, but I think it's an interesting look and it's a very interesting like color choice overall.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I mean, it's not the first time Kamen Rider uses pink on their main rider, but yeah, I don't hate it. Like I like it. Like it's cool. Like I will definitely buy the SH figure out when it comes out. It's at least the main rider anyways. So
Yeah.
yeah, like in terms of the CG for like Saber wasn't that bad like like afterwards. I think only like the beginning like I forgot like maybe the first like 6 or 7 episode that they used a lot of CGI. But then later on, they were using a lot less. I think it might have to do with at the time when there was like the pandemic was happening, and I think they didn't want to like film with too many people on set. Maybe that's why they choose to do certain part like that, but not 100% sure. But anyways, back to Revice. Yeah, like yeah, those definitely the fight scene you were saying, yeah, you enjoy the fight scene. Like I enjoy watching the fight scene. I mean, almost all Kamen Rider series you expect every fight scene the rider will win. It's a matter of like what move they use. I do enjoy when Vice use like a kind of like a wrestler's move. I don't know if you remember that. he kind of used like a pile driver on one of the those do they call those junior GIF or something? Those grunts.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they call the grunts, to be honest with you.
I think they're called according to the subtitles. I think they're just called junior GIF or GIF. You know how they met like they're junior of that master GIF. So
That's interesting.
yeah,
That makes me wonder
Uh,
if the grunts are in the image of the master then.
I know. Like I hope the master looks at least intimidating, and
Yeah.
I wonder like how long. I hope it doesn't take the entire series almost to revive him. You know what I mean? Like
No,
I
yeah,
wonder
like
when. Yeah, I wonder when they will decide to kind of bring him out. You know, have um, instead of waiting like halfway through the season, then he get revived.
speaking of the grunts though, I actually really like the grunt designs too. I think they're much more I don't want to say they're elaborate by any means, but I think they're much more interesting than some of the other grunts I've seen on other shows. I think they're okay for this series.
Yeah, they look decent. I think,
Yeah. My
but to me,
complaint yeah, my only complaint is like I think the Dead Man's is kind of weird. They're very
yeah.
yeah. No,
No,
go ahead.
that the cult itself, the organization or whatever you call it, I thought it was kind of weird too. Like, I don't know if you remember, like at the beginning when they showed the Deathman base, like I don't can't really exactly make out where it is. Like the environment is like a bunch of like rocks. Like it looks like I don't know. There it looks like they might be even on, like on a different planet or something. I'm not sure. Like they didn't really say where the location of the base is. But then like when they first show the dead man's hideout, so you can call it, and then it's like in the form of like a rave party, which I thought was kind of weird as well. They could have choose a better setting, I think. I thought.
No, I agree. It's I think part of it is to kind of maybe connect with their local audience a little bit more. Where if it's like the Dead Man's is supposed to be, I guess, more party culture, or they can do whatever they want, much like how demons are. I think that's it. But yeah, it seems like a weird mix of different things. And that's where I think that some of the things that me and you are not really enjoying about the Dead Man in the first episode is that it doesn't really give a central point for the Dead Man, where like usually there's some sort of theme or connection to everything. This one just seems like they're a little bit all over the place with everything, and it doesn't seem very cohesive overall. As but I mean, first episode uh, could be just something to introduce us and get us to know more about the main villains.
Right. Yeah. And definitely like the age like of the dead man's like even without going to the official website to find out how old they are, it seems kind of weird when the master GIF mummy was discovered like back in 1971, and yet the three villains looks like a lot younger. And with Aguilera's claim to be the fiance of Master GIF, and she like how either she doesn't age or it says she's age what 25 according to the official website. Just things doesn't add up. Like I mean, we'll have to keep watching to find out exactly, like how like what's how did they come about like those three guys, generals.
So, do you want to move on to the gear that Iki is sporting as the Kamen Rider?
Yeah, we can jump on to the driver. I mean, like um every Kamen Rider series has its own unique driver, new design, new toys that they can sell. So
So, what are your opinions of the driver? Because, like, I mean, I've seen Kamen Rider in the past, but I haven't seen a lot. So, how do you feel about the current driver with Revi?
so far I like it. I don't hate it, but not like I wouldn't say like oh it grabs me that it's so cool that I have to go out and buy the toy, to collect. But like so far it's not bad. Like it's a neat little gadget they came up with the kind of like a digital stamp instead of like a stamp with ink. That's what you think of when you think of stamp. Actually, when they say stamp, when I first read about the new series, I actually thought of stamp that you use when you send the letters in the mail. It's those stamps, not these stamps.
That's fair. Yeah, no. I like the driver. I think it's a really unique design, and I mean, I find like a lot of tokusatsu lately have been like very themed heavily. Before it was Saber with all their swords, the different swords, so you got to collect all the swords. Now it's with all the the stamps. But I like the idea that they have, and honestly, I think it was creative how they used like those magnet toys. I mean, I don't know if you had them when you were growing up, Steven. I don't know if your kids have them now. But you know those like magnetic drawing toys where
Yeah.
you that magnetic pen and then you can draw and then you can just erase it. I think that's what they're using for the stamping like on the driver. And
Oh, that I never really. Yeah, I didn't pay close enough attention to see if it's like that. But yeah, no, I just thought it was all like a digital for them, these ones.
no,
But
I think that's yeah, no, I think that's what they're doing for for at least the
the toy
toy.
itself.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, the toy itself. And so like the stamp has some sort of magnet and then you should be able to clear it away.
it makes
Um
sense though. It would be cheaper to make it that way than it's than make it like actually a digital screen, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we did see previews of other stamps from different animals and different DNA. So that'll be interesting how they will fit in to the whole driver part piece. But I if I had to like pick at something in terms of like what I didn't like, I feel like the stamps feel too toy focused. They look too
Yeah.
much like toys, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I love toys, and I love to collect toys. But there's a point where I want my toys to be toys, and I want the gear on the show to be more, I guess, not realistic, but like to seem more legitimate in the show. And then like you can then collect the more legitimate stuff if you're a more serious collector. But it
Yeah,
definitely
that I agree. Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like the stamps come off like, oh hey, you can collect this, and it's made out of cheap plastic.
Yeah, unfortunately, like that's something like I know like I'm sure at the I don't remember like when Kamen Rider actually started selling like their gimmicks, for like the series. Like I'm pretty sure like the first Rider series, I only watched a few episodes of that, does not have these gadgets for their belt. I don't
No,
know. Have you read? Yeah,
I
like
I don't remember that. Yeah, I remember when I
yeah,
watched.
there gotta be some point in time in the Rider series they started thinking, whoa, if we design the driver a certain way, it will help us sell a lot of toys. I think that's when then I think that the the designer are kind of bound to they have to create something rather than create something that look more like you said more realistic or cool looking. They have to come up with some kind of gimmick so that they can allow them to sell the toys. Then that somehow will change the design, unfortunately. Not they don't always look cool. Like you said, like this the for example, like the previous Saber series is about I think it was the books. Like they do have their own different swords, they they also have these books that allow them to transform into like different rider form. But I mean, they're not really books. Like it really, like just thick plastic that you can flip like one or two pages. That's it. But they call them books. Um,
Yeah,
but like yeah.
yeah, it reminds me a lot of like the Gokaiger series, the pirate ones from Super Sentai, where they had the
Mhm.
keys, and I think that's when that really kind of like hit a light bulb for them for toy making because they I guess they found out that people were willing to buy these collectibles, and you can make like infinite amount of these particular toy sets and then just keep going if it was really popular, and if it wasn't, you could just move on to the next collectible thing, I guess.
No, like I do agree with you. Like it'll be cool if they can make the show version a little bit more realistic or not as plasticky or toy looking. But mind you, I mean, at the end of the day, the show's main target audience is for kids, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna have to, even if they make it this way, it's fine. And then what's cool is like if you make it looks exactly like what you can buy as toy, who wouldn't want that, right? Even as a kid, you see it on like you go to a toy store, you see it on the shelf, like whoa, look, that looks exactly like what you saw on the show. I must have it. So.
How do you feel about the weapon, the axe that he uses?
Yeah, like in the first episode, I guess they so far they show one of the weapons. I think the stamp was um I think it was George that shows up and throw the stamp to Revice, right? To Iki to tell him to use it and it transform into an axe. Um I thought it looks kind of cool. Like um and when I went online to the official site to look, the axe actually have two operation mode. But in the first episode, we only see it as an axe mode, but it actually can turn into a gun mode as well. So I like it in the sense that it can be a close range weapon as well as a long range weapon. So, what about you?
Yeah, I really like it. I think the axe and gun design is very classic in terms of any sort of like weapons base that you kind of get with a lot of these type of live action shows. I like the overall design, and I think the color scheme makes a lot of sense. And I like the blue and the purple that they mix with it. Um, the stamp is in a kind of an weird spot, but I'm not gonna complain about that because, like, I can't think of another place you could put the stamp overall. I'm just kind of curious on how they use it as a gun mode and, like, how that will fit, but, I mean, I'm sure we'll see it at some point in the future.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see it. And speaking of like toys, I mean, I haven't seen what the current lines of toys looks like, but you probably are aware too, Albert, that like um Bandai is is Bandai the one that makes these toys? I'm trying to remember.
It should be Bandai for this
Yeah,
for
yeah.
yeah.
They do have the line. I think it's called the CSM line, where it's like supposed to be like a more realistic line of the driver that you can buy. Are you familiar with that toy line?
No, I can't say I am.
Yeah, they come out a lot slower. Like I don't know how they choose which series to. If you ever look it up, like yeah, I'm pretty sure it was CSM. Forgot what it was stand for. Um, but they actually like they're much more expensive and it's supposed to look more authentic, like the one you see on the show. Um, like so I don't know like how if they ever release one, like how much like more closer to the one they look on the show. But like you said, the one on the show already looked like a toy, so um but maybe the actual toys even look like more plasticky than what
Oh,
you see on the show.
yeah, I just looked it up. CSM stands for Complete Section Modification.
Yeah,
Whatever.
like yeah, if you look it up like CSM, like the belt for for past releases that they have, or even weapons, sometimes they release weapon. They look like the movie props, like
Yeah, no,
so I can see them, yeah.
yeah, I see their henshin devices in here. And no, yeah, they look more like the actual TV show props and less like toys in aspects.
Yeah, totally. And usually they're not like up to like to the most current series. The release of those are a lot slower. Um, but I can see them releasing like the axe, for example, that we saw as one of those collectibles. Because usually the toy that you buy, they're not in full scale, right? They do that for Sentai as well. Like you buy the sword, and the sword is like ridiculously small. Like it's not even in scale. But if they buy the actual collector's version, they actually in 1-to-1 scale, which is a lot cooler.
No, yeah, that's definitely the case. Like, I collect a decent amount of Power Ranger stuff, and I remember, like, even though like big fans of the series would love to have like size prop size 1-to-1 ratio sized uh replica of the toys. They just never really did that for a long time until I think like maybe 6 or 7 years, or maybe even 10 years ago, when they
Mhm.
started doing that with Bandai, and I've collected a few of those, like the life size, more of a prop size version of the Dragon Dagger from the original Power Ranger series, or even the Power Sword from the series. Yeah, no, I find those are more appealing to the hardcore fans if they're at a decent enough price point.
Well, yeah, like for sure. Like I think they should keep two separate lines. That's for sure because they need one cheap, which is hopefully is cheaper, more affordable for younger audience, right? And whereas the older audience, they should release like a more like 1-to-1 size replica for collectors who collect. I think definitely they should continue to do that.
No, I agree. All right.
Yes. All right. What else did they? Yeah, other than the stab and the weapon, they didn't really show any more gadget. But like you said, the show throughout the show, they did show different stamps, and I believe like the story wise, I think the dead man raided one of the Phoenix location or something and stole a bunch of stamps. So the dead men's actually probably have their in their possession some like stamps that was supposed to belong to the Phoenix Corp organization. So, and they show I think there's two of them at the end of the episode. I forgot what animals they were, but they definitely showed two stamps at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I remember that scene where they showed off the two stamps. I don't remember what they were either, but it looks like they have some, and they have some stuff planned for the future next couple episodes with those stamps.
Back to the show, like I thought it was like the graduation ceremony. I thought they could have picked a different location. It looks like a school gym to me. It's just for an organization supposed to be there to protect, I guess humanity or from the from dead man. You would think I don't know. It just looked a little cheap. It just didn't fit to me. Like they could have CG a better background. Like a military base or something.
I don't have an issue with the gym. I think the lack of people in the gym probably bothers me if I really think about it. It's like
Hmm,
it seems like, okay,
right.
you're an organizational base and you're a military. There could have used a little bit more of a crowd, even if you're CGing it in, right? Like
Hmm,
if
true.
you're there's more people there, seems much more important. But the fact that like there's maybe 50 people, maybe if I'm pushing it, maybe 80 people there, and like that doesn't seem like it's all that. I mean, what are we in a high school? Not even a high school graduation has that little of people.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that I didn't really think of that, but you're right. Yeah, it does seem a little small the crowd, but I mean, you could say maybe because these are like the elites being graduating, but still, like you would think the class would be a little more for an organization, you know, that's supposed to protect people.
Yeah.
And what I found also funny was that the the dad seems kind of useless to me in the whole family. Like I don't know, maybe he built a whole bathhouse business, but seems like he didn't even attend his son's graduation. I mean you can say because he has to stay behind to run the bathhouse, but but he but when you see him like during the graduation ceremony, he was just sitting there watching it from while he was trying to balance rocks on like a spoon or something. Like he's trying to like do you remember that? Like
Yeah, no, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, we don't really know too much about the dad character. I don't want to be too critical, but I see where you're coming at. He just seems like he's very just not responsible. It doesn't
yeah,
seem
yeah,
like,
no, you're right. Yeah.
yeah, but it very much seems like he is enough, responsible enough. where his wife loves him and supports
Yeah.
him in these odd antics,
I
and
mean, yeah.
he's willing to work during a very important time, like give the family time to go celebrate themselves, while he can give his time to make sure that the business is still being run properly.
I mean, it's possible that the business was just the mother's side too, right? Might not be his, like the father's side.
Very true.
Maybe
Very true.
that's why the mom seems like the one that's running the show, not the dad. So, and I like how they had like seems like, I know this is only the first episode, but it does give me uh that some seems like they're hinting that like both, like all three siblings are riders. Like the younger brother is probably going to be a rider eventually, same with the sister.
Yeah, it does give me that kind of sense. Less so with the sister, but I mean, I haven't seen Ryder in a while, so I don't know how that's gonna necessarily go. The brother for sure. It's very like your typical. He's the younger brother. He might be celebrated, but then like the older brother's more talented, and then there might and he asks the question in the show on why uh like
Why
I
he didn't
think
go pro? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and so it kind of gives that impression of like there's he seems to look up to his brother, and maybe in the future even resent him just for being so talented but not living up to his talents.
Yeah, the main Iki seems like someone who really family comes first than himself. I think he really wants to look after the family first, so he's willing to probably give up his dream to be a pro soccer player, that than to to look after the family business. And that's why like he didn't want to be the rider at the end of the show.
Yeah, that was actually an aspect that was a little surprising. I didn't realize they were going to go that route where he just didn't want to be the hero and he didn't take up that responsibility.
Right.
It's yeah,
And
he very much seemed like he was happy just to protect his family, and that was all he needed to do. And that kind of power or responsibility was not above him, but something that wasn't for him because he had so much he had other things on his plate that he wanted to take care of.
yeah, the brother was supposed to be the rider because that's what George the scientist kind of picked. Daiju, yeah, that's
Yeah.
supposed to be the main rider, right? But then he kind of got
Yeah.
scared after he see what happened to one of the, I don't know if it's commander. He's not the main commander. It was just some, I forgot what his rank was. The guy who trying to transform, but then it didn't work, and he died, I think.
Yeah, he ended up just creating another demon in the process of it and making things worse.
And George didn't look too upset when that happened. I don't know if you noticed, like, if,
I don't
like
think he cares. I think he's your typical scientist of like, didn't work. We'll move on to the next person.
yeah, like, didn't he even warn him? Like, George even warned him, like, don't do it. Are you sure? Kind of.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
remember something like that. Yeah.
yeah, very much. I think he like George seems to have an idea of what the writer should be like.
And speaking of the rider and the belt earlier, we probably both noticed this before, where the case is like a computer gaming case.
Yes, yes. I remember seeing that, and at first, when I saw the computer gaming case holding the driver, I I kind of ignored it. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I was seeing things. I'm like, maybe it's not a computer case and it's something else. But it does very much seem like they decided that these pre-made computer cases are much cooler than building something on our own.
It's easier, cheaper to probably just to get that. But I looked it up online. Looks like someone figured out what case that they were using. It was a modified version of the Cool Man Gorilla's tempered glass ATX computer gaming case, and apparently inside they also uses a foldable smartphone stand that you can buy at Daiso's. So like But pretty much all these things you can just buy online. Like, I mean, if I were to buy the belt or the driver to collect, I would definitely buy the computer case and some kind of foldable smartphone stand to just. That's how I would display my belt.
Yeah, I mean that would be the way to go, right? You buy the driver, and you have to buy the case and the smartphone stand, and you would
Yeah,
have the whole
exactly.
display.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it'll look just like what you see in the show. And speaking of like these fun little notable scenes or Easter eggs, the opening of the show, the archaeological dig site happened in 1971, which is exactly 50 years of the Kamen Rider. That's when the original series premiered. So
yeah, like 50 years. I mean, that's a lot of history, and I mean something definitely you want to reference during the whole episode. It'll
what
be interesting to see
yeah,
like how they
what I
do.
didn't how it, yeah, unfolds. But what I didn't look up is, do Kamen Rider have exactly, is this the exact 50th series, or probably a little bit short of 50th series? Of that I never went back to look on like Wikipedia or something.
I think I think it's 50 years and probably not series because they've had a lot of like one shots too over the years, haven't they? A few
Yeah,
movies.
so either they have more than 50 series or they will have less than that, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
right now is every year they have a new series, so. And apparently George did the Kamen Rider one transformation pose when he told Iki to transform. Because I know the original uh, first series, Rider, like the way they transform, like definitely a longer pose before they come to that pose. There's other thing that they do with their hand before they come to that pose, and they don't use any gadget to transform. I think it was you just see the thing and the bell was spinning and stuff. That's when he transformed.
yeah. Not like these days where everything is much more elaborate.
Yeah, there's always something you have to insert into the belt to, before you transform, instead of just using your hand to to make some kind of transformation pose. And I mean, they still do right now with the transformation pose, but they need a gadget to do it.
Yeah, I think there's more gimmicks now than they used to back in the old day. Like back, I mean, you could get away with it back in the old days too because there was nothing before it. Now,
Yeah.
now you have to come up with something that's more original and has to fit in with the whole series and and then you gotta stamp this and put in that
Mm.
and it's not too bad though. Like I find the so far the transformation process specifically with the common writer, I like it. I think it's original. I think it makes sense and
Yeah,
it's
it's
not.
still fun to watch, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's not too long of a process either. Like
I'm always impressed by like how many different way that they can come up with the transformation pose. Because they're all always different, right? Every series. They can't use the exact same one. So
no, say I agree. I agree with
yeah.
that. Yeah, you can't. It's very impressive how they can
And
think
it's
of new
hard. Like,
ways.
can you imagine you're the person in charge of, okay, for this new series, you're gonna have to come up with a new pose that we never used before for the last 50 years.
Yeah, no, I don't think I could do that. I would be fired pretty much on the first day, I think.
Yeah, like it's impressive that they can come up with like different way to for their posts. So, but yeah, like overall, like this episode's definitely enjoyable. That you want to, find out what happened next.
No, I agree. It's very fun and it's a good entryway to see how this will keep going.
Anything else you want to add about the first episode?
I mean, I'm not sure you're a pro wrestling fan, Steven, but one of the scenes in the episode, they kidnap the dead man's kidnap a convict. It looks like convict was played by a very famous Japanese pro wrestler, Minoru Suzuki. Minoru Suzuki kind of looks like he should be part of the Yakuza for whatever reason. But for me, that was fun. That was fun to see because I'm a big pro wrestling fan, and I've heard that like pro wrestlers have shown up in these series before in the past.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I remember listening to in another podcast, Kamen Rider podcast, that they mentioned that too. And yeah, like I looked it up. Yeah, and you're correct. Like that prisoner is some famous pro wrestler. Now, which is interesting because in the show, I'm sure like this guy is not light by any means. He got to be pretty big and built and heavy. I forgot one of the. I remember one of the dead man general actually picked him up over his shoulder, so he's pretty strong.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think he's like over 200 pounds, maybe. I think it is.
Yeah, and I think in the show, the one of the dead man generals just kind of like pick him up and throw him over his shoulder, and and carry him back to base to see Aguilera. Um, and correct me if I'm wrong. Like I think once if the humans get stamped by the V stamp, they will they turn in the inner demon takes over or something.
So I believe the inner demon gets released when they stamp. So like the inner demon gets released. It's not established if they're dead or if they are just release the demon. So
Yeah,
it's
that part I don't get because like if let's say if the stamp is a particular animals, like it does it make their inner demon like to be that animal? Because that's
I
not the
don't
case for Iki, right? I mean, the stamp was a T-Rex, but his inner demon is not a T-Rex or anything like that.
you are correct. Like they did not release like a T-Rex because like the stamp that the general that tried to transform, he also
Yeah.
used stamp and it wasn't a T-Rex though. It
It
was
was like a mammoth or something. It was on the official site, it said what animal it was, and I don't remember what it was in the show. But it, it turns the monster or the demon into that particular animals, right? But yeah, that part I didn't quite get. But maybe as we watch more, and then it'll explain more how how exactly that works. I guess that will be it for our overall kind of review of the show.
I think that there's not really anything else we can really say about it.
Thank you all for listening for our Kamen Rider Episode 1 review. Until, well, next time that we get a chance to watch Episode 2, then we'll be back to give us our impression of Episode 2. Make sure to join our Facebook group, Noobshido Games. Follow us on Twitter if you haven't already. You can also visit our website at noobshidogames.com. That's noobshidogames.com. We also have a YouTube channels, but we've been busy and um, haven't been uploading any videos, but we'll try to. Otherwise, stay tuned for our next our Kamen Rider episode 2, a Revice episode 2 review.
All right,
See
thanks
you
for joining
guys.
us. Bye.